All right. Good morning or buenos dias, good afternoon, buenas tardes, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. Today, we are going to have a conversation with one of our Whirlpool sister, and I'm welcoming Karen, and she's here right now. Let me call Karen to introduce her.
Buenas tardes, everyone. Good evening to everyone in the Philippines, and good morning to the rest of the world in a different time zone. So today we are so honored to have her with us, despite her busy schedule. She has given us time, her precious time, to talk about one thing of many things that she cares about. So our speaker for today, tonight, afternoon, is a is she lives in Spain, in Cutar, Malaga, in Andalusia. I hope I pronounced it right. She is a graphic fashion designer and a visionary entrepreneur. She has been a graphic designer for 14 years and an executive assistant prior to that for 5 years. She had a master's in publications design from the University of Baltimore, and she's a World Pulse ambassador and encourager since November of 2016. She is also a World Pulse Encourager mentor. I'm sorry for the background noise. Okay. She's also a World Pulse Spirit Awards judge. And I think I'm gonna label her the encouragement queen of World Pulse. In addition, she is married and in the process of adopting a Chinese child. Her statement, and I quote, "My soul's mission is to inspire and assist sensitive, compassionate, authentic, and determined women and girls to go after their true heart's desires, despite any obstacles, real or perceived, thus creating more equality, compassion, kindness, balance, and peace in not only their world, but also impacting the collective good for all." Wow! Amazing! Powerful! And to the Filipinos, nosebleed. Okay, let us all welcome Jill Landers
Yay!
Griffin.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you, Jill, for accepting our invitation.
Yes,
Thank you.
our encouragement queen.
So, how are you? How are you, Jill?
Pretty good. Hanging in there. How are you, ladies?
Oh, we're doing fine. How about you, Karen? How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm very fine. I'm so happy Jill is with us. She's like a soul sister, and because of her, I colored my hair pink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
nice.
I let it. I put it down. Tama ba? Nilugay ko. So yeah.
Okay, Jill. So, we'd like to know more about you, and we want to learn from you as a World Pulse sister. Tell us, what is encouragement to you?
Encouraging and encouragement means so much to me. I would say it's probably the primary reason why I joined World Pulse 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. Because I came from an upbringing where I wasn't heard, and so it was really, really crucial when I started commenting on there and I saw stories that weren't being heard. It literally hurt me, and I was like, those people that have taken the time to write on there, they want to be heard too. And so it really means a lot to me. And it's not just, and I've heard so much commentary since I've joined that you're just making the difference. So usually between action, a lot of times between action and non-action. And what I mean by that is so many people are like, wow, you really pushed me to post that blog post, start that business. And I was like, whoa, I'm really making an impact here. And I was like, I am making a difference. And it really fueled me to keep going. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So, Jill, what do you think are the traits of an encourager?
That's sort of a loaded question because I take it rather seriously. So I think there's a lot of facets, and I would say, well, anybody can be an encourager, but a good encourager, it takes kindness, empathy, positivity, good listening skills among the top, and you have to be super respectful and friendly at all times, I think. You're expected to be objective. So I've raised the bar kind of high, but I believe that those are the traits to being a good encourager.
So how did you discover that you are an encourager?
I believe that, well, in Chinese astrology, being born in 1970, and I've just divulged my how old I am, but anyway, inadvertently there. So I'm the year of the dog, and the reason that it's about loyalty and it's about compassion, and I really feel that this is my life purpose. And I feel that encouragement and empathy are strongly linked to each other. So I would say that it's always been something that I've had, even when in my 20s, when I felt like I was perhaps more self-absorbed than what I am now. I'm more about humanity now than I was then. But even then, I was still, I'd be concerned about others and humanity as a whole.
So thank you for that. So why do you think is encourager or as encouragement is important to you and to us?
I think really as the world's becoming more balanced and I mean between women and men, and we're seeing more compassion, more leadership that's really necessary in the world. I think compassion and encouragement is just so essential. I almost feel like humanity's become lost in the patriarchal system. And I just feel like this is really the way forward. And not just for women, it's inclusive of everyone. Think of, it's encouraged in so many in so many communities and countries for men to sort of stay and boys to stay silent, and they're easier to bring up. And I really have an issue with it because we're encouraging them to stay silent. And it's just, think of what those boys could be, and think of the depression and anxiety that wouldn't be there for both men, women, girls, boys. It's just so essential, I think. Think of what if you were heard, because I don't know what your upbringings were like, but I wasn't heard, and I really felt like I wasn't heard. And and even now I don't believe in regret, but when I look back, I'm like, wow, if my singing, if my artistry really would have been cultivated, if I would have been encouraged, think of how much stronger I would be now. Would I have developed my own NGO 10 years ago? What could I have done? It blows my mind when I think if I would have had that. And while I honor where I am right now, and I believe everything happens for a purpose, I also think as I'm bringing in my child, that I'm hoping will be a girl, what can I do to make a difference in her life? And number one will be encouraging her to follow her life's passion and her life's purpose, hands down.
Wow. So you've been encouraging for like about 3 years now. 2016 you started, right? And then
Almost 4.
Almost 4. So what makes you fulfilled as an encourager from that year until now? What makes you feel fulfilling or fulfilled?
Knowing that I've made a difference, definitely, and like I was saying, that getting that feedback from people, and also it was really with the Spirit Awards, it was so humbling and so encouraging and revitalizing too for my energy and my spirit, my purpose, to know that the time and energy that I'm putting into this is making a difference in so many lives, maybe even for the people that don't articulate it. It is making a difference. And if everybody did that on the planet, think of what a different life and world we would have.
Karen, how about you? I know that you are also an encourager. Can you also share a little fulfilling as an encourager?
Well, I resonate with what Jill said, that your words could change a person's life, and I didn't know what kind of impact would that be. Because people are coming back to you and telling you, "Hey, thank you. Because of you, I was able to have confidence to start this skill, or I was able to pursue my job. Was able to pursue this passion." And it's right when Jill said that sometimes that's what people are afraid of, pursuing what they want. But if there was only one encourager who pushed them a little, then maybe we would have a better world today. People would be pursuing their dreams, upgrading their skills, learning more knowledge. It would be a better world. So yeah, the fulfillment of an encourager for me is um, being part of someone's life. You've been part of that journey. And also for me, when I read a story, I listen, I am also encouraged as well. So it's not really just what I can gain, I can give, but I also receive something. I am inspired by the story. So yeah, it makes me resilient in life's challenges too. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen. Um, I just wanna share also. I just wanna agree to both of you because as an encourager,
Also encourager.
yeah, it's not only a fulfillment, but at the same time, you are also encouraged to those women or the one who are sharing their stories. You are also learning. You're also inspired with their stories. And Jill, how about challenges that you experience when you are encouraging? What are the challenges you experience?
I think sometimes it's challenging if people only write like a short post and you're like, what am I going to do with that sort of response? And you're like, because I feel strongly that you're sort of cultivating them to, like, encouraging them to write more too, and then engaging them in a conversation. So I'm usually like, ask them a question or something like, what are your goals, what are your mission, or if it seems like or what are you passionate about. But also I do find it so challenging sometimes if it's something that doesn't resonate for me. But as an encourager, I still feel like you still have the responsibility to be professional and be respectful, kind, empathetic, even if you don't resonate with it, and just to be not necessarily, well, yes, tolerant of their differences, but celebrating the differences too, and being like, wow, they're passionate about something too, even if I don't necessarily agree with it. It doesn't matter, and I can still respond in a respectful way.
Yeah, I remember my first story that I post, and then Jill is the one who actually read my story, and then you really read my story and you really ask questions. I think the challenging for us encourager is, you it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to understand the person's story. And then yeah, I agree that how are you going to encourage this or post a message if you yourself don't understand what the story is all about? So I think that's the challenge that an encourager is facing. But yes, I agree that you really also need to ask questions, and that question will actually trigger that person. Okay. At, and then the person will reply, right? And then that's the start of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So um, there are different types of people. How do you approach each one when you encourage them?
I think, yeah, like I said, it's about celebrating and being patient with not only yourself too, because sometimes it can, especially if it's something that does resonate for you, and you might have a strong opinion yourself, you still have to be like, okay, maybe I need to come back to this, or maybe I need to take a deep breath. Just because I don't necessarily agree with them, I, as a response, as an encourager, have the responsibility to come back in a professional and positive, empathetic, respectful, kind way. And that doesn't happen very often, but it does occasionally. And I'm just like, okay. I either need to be just like, okay, thank you, or, and sort of like, still be nice, but not like really engage to the point. I'm not giving my opinion basically at that point, because I don't want to trigger in them. It's not about that. It's about being respectful and respectful of their time and entering energy, experiences, opinions themselves.
Okay. Can you share at least three tips on how to encourage effectively?
I would say the first thing is to honor your time and energy, but also the person that wrote its energy and time too, because if you're not 100%, or if you're rushing it and you're like, oh, I really was hoping to get my 3 done for the week, or whatever your guideline is, I'd really say, like, come back another time when you feel like you're 100%, because you're not only shortchanging yourself, you're shortchanging that person as well, and you're not honoring your energy. And that's super, super important, because you have to take care of yourself too. You'll be able to give that person way better feedback if you're like present and you're totally like on board with their story and paying attention. And also, I would say, after reading the post in its entirety, that you do come up with questions and encourage that conversation, because so many times I might be the only one that somebody is responding to, and that could be because we have a history, because I have a big family now, and a lot of people might just respond to my post. But a lot of times it's probably because I'm such an inquisitive person, and I do really give 100% of my feedback. And so when I ask those questions, I really want to know, and I hope that it comes across like I really want to know. So I'm like, what are your passions? What are your goals? Or what is your main goal for your NGO? And a lot of the times they'll be like, blah, blah, and they're like, wow, that really, it resonated for them. And so I made a difference in their day. They feel like they know that I've heard them, and I've taken time to respond to them. And the third thing would be to really give well thought out commentary on every post, like I said, about divesting 100% time and energy, and so they do feel heard.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I just remember that strikes me is you really need to give your time to encourage the post story. And then not only if you're going to encourage, you really need to spend time, like the person who spent time to post the story. The person really write it and spend time. So you, as an encourager, you also need to give your best in encouraging. Karen, any thoughts?
I agree. I consider Jill my mentor when it comes to encouragement. Because for those who are watching, when I began on World Pulse, I think this would be every World Pulse sister story. When you start your first post, Jill will be there to welcome you.
Yeah, I agree that.
Right?
Yes.
So everybody knows Jill. Everybody loves Jill. In fact, during the World Pulse Spirits Award, she had the most number of nominations.
Wow.
If she wasn't a judge, she would win the award. And I was like, and if you could just see World Pulse Sisters, oh, it's too bad we couldn't nominate you. So we call her encouragement queen from now on. So anyway, when I began on World Pulse, I wrote a lot. during my first few posts, and she was very consistent in reading all my posts. And I observe her because sometimes when I began encouraging, I would come across her comments, and I noticed that her comments are long. And I'm like, oh, so that's what encouragement looks like. Then I began to copy what she's doing. I would really say that I'm copying Jill. So that's how she does it. So when someone says thank you, I need to reply, you're welcome. That takes
that's,
so much time, right?
and when you say thank you, then she will reply, "You're welcome." She
Yes.
she's going to reply with you, even welcome, thank you. Imagine.
Yeah, sometimes the conversation is done and she will reply with XOXO. Wow, that's a lot of time, right? And that's where I think Jill and everybody would agree with this. No one will sue me if I will say it. When she entered, it really changed the dynamics of what encouragement looks like on the World Pulse. So to the point that World Pulse wants more Jills. That's why they made her encouragement mentor, so she can produce her kind. And and she successfully did that when I was part of the encouragement team also. So yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that Jill is my mentor when it comes to encouragement. So thank you, Jill, for your time. Thank you for valuing our stories. It means so much because the recent World Pulse is different from any blogging site or networking site is because of this encouragement system that we have. And everybody who tells their story felt like they are heard. Somebody is listening, and thank you for being the trailblazer on encouragement, for showing us how it is to encourage. And yeah, I would like our encouragers to see this video, so they would know also to that where is that energy coming from. People are asking, where does Jill get her time to put a lot of effort in encouragement? It's the thought that someone spends time to write her story, and we need to match that energy and time with our encouragement. That's what makes World Pulse a safe space. Oh my gosh, I'm talking a lot. So, do you want to add more, Jill, from what I said?
No, thank you. I am honored by what you're saying, and I couldn't do it without you, Mayanne, and all the other amazing encouragers. And I totally agree with you that the encouragement team is definitely the pillar of World Pulse. And we help to elevate. We've created a new community and have raised the energy level and the collective quality of the forum. It feels like a safe haven. It did before, but now it really does. People are really heard, and they're saying dear love. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that before. We've definitely created a new reality and a new level on World Pulse, I feel.
I copied that from you too when you say dear and love.
I think it makes a big difference. It feels like a true sisterhood to me that way. And even though that was out of my comfort zone initially, it just felt like a natural progression for me. And I'm so glad that I did it, because I noticed other encouragers and started doing it. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, you should start writing a book, Jill.
Yeah.
You first.
How you create the encouragement movement.
Oh.
Yeah. That.
You're the storyteller, Karen.
We are here to support and
Yes.
Angel is trying to connect.
Yeah,
She,
her internet is intermittent at this time, but we really appreciate that she tries her best to be with us.
yeah. Um, um, that is so very encouraging, the way that we are doing right now, and the reason why that we have this conversation with Jill is because it's not only about we wanted to learn and know the reason why that there are women like us who wants to encourage us, because it's about sisterhood. It's about inspiring every woman who are joining World Pulse that yes, they are heard, that there are that we are here to read their stories and also to encourage them. So this conversation with Jill and Karen, I hope that this will inspire women who is going to watch this video, and that Jill will be multiplied, Karen will be multiplied, and then there will be more encouragers, and then it's going to be a lot. There's a lots of encourager, and it's going to be, the atmosphere, the ambience would be great, because it's very inspiring when you are encouraged. So thank you so much, Jill, for the time.
Question.
Yes, okay. Question.
um, what would be your message for the encouragers right now? Something that you want to tell them, or any advice, tips? We'll make sure they're gonna watch this.
Yeah, I think just like be your best self, be respectful, be friendly. If you don't feel up to the task, then maybe you can come back. But I was just thinking too about how much, since you've started and Mayanne have started and all the other encouragers, it's really elevated the level within the encouragement team as well, because you inspire me. You're saying I inspire you, which is great too. But I think that you've helped me grow, and you're saying that I think it's a knock-on. We're not only making a difference within the whole forum, we're also making a difference within that community, which is really special.
Thank you, Jill. What will you? How do you encourage in this time of coronavirus? What if our encouragers are having a difficult time right now? How can we encourage when we are going through something that affects us all in the same level? What would be your advice?
Well, two things, because it's really about self-care, like I mentioned before, is like really essential, because you have to take care of yourself first and foremost. And when you come from a full cup, then you're able to encourage even better as well. But shoot, I lost my train of thought. But that was what oh, the second part of this that I feel really called, is I'm seeing more and more in other groups, because humanity is changing so quickly now with this. There's a reason why this virus is happening, and I think that people are having more time to reflect and become more grateful for what they have. And because they're quarantined, they're having to think like, what am I grateful for? But it's also a time to serve humanity. And as a part of service, we're totally being called now. And I feel when I'm on World Pulse, I'm like, these people need to be heard more than ever. They're taking time to write. They need to be heard. And so we can help them collectively. And it raises my energy knowing that I've helped them. And so it's reflected back. It's a mirror.
Wow. Thank you for that perspective, Jill. That's right. People need us more right now, so we need to have more self-care right now. So, yeah, thank you. For those encouragers out there, I'd say that although we want to be like Jill, it's also good that will also encourage the way to be who we are when we encourage, because no one, if no one can tell your story the way you do, no one can encourage the way you do too. So each one of us is unique, are unique. Yeah, so I really love this topic. Are we gonna end now?
Not yet, if we still have more questions.
Where is Angel? Oh, Angel is not there anymore.
There, let me promote her. I hope she can join us now. Oh, still not. So, Jill, right now, because I'm checking the stories on World Post, and there's a lot of stories about COVID, about their experience, um and from last month to this month of March, there's a lot of stories now on World Post. And if you say there's a lot, so meaning there's there are more women who can actually who who are expressing how they feel, what they are experiencing, what are their thoughts. And we need more encourager, right? We need more encourager, because it's not that easy, and you really need to spend time encouraging. You need time. You need to set a time and make time for it, because you need to sit down. Sometimes I use cell phone to send a message, but it's easier to send an encouraging word on a laptop, because you can type easier than the cell phone. But for me, mostly I use the app of World Pulse, because I can go around and use the cell phone with the app. That's the one I'm using. But it's different when you use the laptop. You can really compose. So, and we really need to have more encourager. And we welcome Angel. Hi, Angel. I'm trying to unmute you. Okay.
Just wanna add while Angel is trying to connect. Oh, you're muted, Angel. We can't hear you.
Hello.
There.
Oh my God.
Hi.
Hello, Jill. Oh my God.
Hello.
So I finally got to see you personally here in our Zoom meeting. So I'm so sorry. I'm actually still up with my kids around and just had our dinner. It's very late. So I am really struggling all day long for almost a week now. I've got no hired help, so eventually I'm doing all the tasks. But anyway, it's really that fulfilling to be a mom. It's part of being a mom. And so, Jill, how are you? I was not able to start with the meeting, so I'm just trying to have a catch up with what you've been discussing all along. So it's all about encouraging, right?
Yes.
So I've been actually not that active lately with word pulse in when it comes to write ups, because I found it very hard to be writing, and then I there are times that all of my what's this, because I'm using a cell phone, it's very handy for me. We're in sis me and just told us earlier that it would be better if we will be typing on the laptop. My laptop is being
Yeah.
used by my kids. Oh my God, they're watching YouTube all the time. That's it. So I am using my cell phone. But every time that I am doing my stories, I found it lost. So I have to retype again, and that I don't have that much patience anymore in retyping again and again what I just lentily been doing. So that's it. I am actually up to now. I've been using my social media account, my Facebook, to be encouraging my own sisters here in the Philippines. And even though I am housebound right now, I am as well calling friends here in our cities to be actively supporting our volunteers, especially our frontliners, to be giving the their needs, even just the mask and the alcohol that they will be needing. Because as we can see, we are all experiencing this kind of predicament, and I do hope that everyone is just taking it positively with faith in our Lord Almighty, and hopefully we'll all be able to survive this. So that's it. Actually, I usually go to sleep at 3 a.m., but I got in between. I've been doing the laundry and everything, but I'm so thankful that I have you. Sis Mia is always very active, and Sis Karen, they're always there to encourage everyone, especially us sisters, and also Jill. So finally, I've got to see you in that real green hair of yours.
She's so
Thank
beautiful.
you. No po.
I told her she should be an actress.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about somebody in that kind of zombie movie. The the great actress there, just mentioned the
Or a model.
Yes, a model. Oh,
I just want to say something with the encouragement. Did you know that when I started on World Pulse, I was writing using my cell phone. I just had my laptop last year, so from 2017 up to last year of June, I did it from my own cell phone. And
wow.
yes, from the stories I wrote, it's all from my cell phone. And I encourage from my own cell phone, so it's really hard. So when
And
the time I had my laptop, that was like, wow, this is so easy.
and then the app 2017 is not that upgraded yet.
I'm not using the app.
You're not
Yeah,
using,
there wasn't
you're using
no.
the browser.
Yeah, I'm using the browser. So I wrote all my stories. I want featured storytellers just from writing on my cell phone when they are asleep. So when I'm on the bed just writing. So I encourage when everybody is asleep.
Mm.
So I use cell phone. And I understand the frustration of writing a lot and then it's gone. And it's not automatically saved. So oh my goodness, I'm gonna start again. So yeah, I feel that I encourage through even today. Sometimes I encourage when there are a lot of posts. I use a laptop, but when everybody is sleeping, I encourage on the bed using myself in bed using myself.
You're so committed, Karen. You've always, it's amazing that you're using your phone to do all. I'm still blown away by that.
Yeah, it's very hard. Yeah, I just use as an for encouraging, but mostly if I will make a story, I need to use the laptop because it's hard to type. Yeah, so this is very helpful for us. I hope that those who will watch this will be encouraged that encourager will multiply and there will be more women or women who can actually encourage more because in on World Pulse, um, number one important and very important role on World Pulse are encouragers, right?
Yeah.
Because if there's no encourager, I saw one story like it was posted that was 2010, 2011, and there's no encouraging words or no one read that story. And I said, okay, so the world was actually evolved
Yes.
for how many years it evolves, and I cannot imagine that I'll be part of World Pulse, and it started like how many years World Pulse is
2011, I think,
11
or
or
10, or 2009, I think.
or earlier.
Oh, yeah, earlier. I think.
2005, something like that, or 6. Because Ate Polaine was a member of World Pulse since 2010. Imagine 2010, and I joined World Pulse 2017, and it's 2020 now. So it's nice to know. And what is beautiful on World Pulse and to be an encourages is you will have more sisters, you will have more friends. I never thought that I'd be able to be friend with Jill, to you, Karen, to Angel, and to other women around the world. There's a sisterhood on World Pulse, right? So it's
It's
amazing.
real. It's a real sisterhood. It's not kind of like we're just sister, but it's real. You could feel it's real. We support each other, right? I
Yeah.
just googled and World Pulse began in 2003.
Oh, imagine 2003. Who would have thought that through World Pulse we will be able to know each other, even if like Karen and Angel, we are in the one country, but we didn't know each other. But through World Pulse, we'll be we know each other. We actually we World Pulse connects us, right? So it's amazing.
Yeah,
So I think
2007 it began online. Before it was a magazine.
Yeah, 2003. Mm.
Yeah, so 2007 it launched its online site.
I was going
So
to say though, I think the encouragement group is a special group, a special subgroup of World Pulse though, because it's a special close knit unit of women as well. Wouldn't you agree?
yeah,
That we encourage each other internally as well as support each other even more and are in communication more often than the bigger forum.
that's true. And we don't just communicate inside World Pulse, we communicate outside, even on Facebook and other channels. Actually, when you encourage a lot, people demand a lot from you also. So sometimes they hey, join our WhatsApp. Oh my goodness, I don't have time for another app anymore or this one. So
They will
really,
they
I
will
hope you
invite you for
understand whoever is watching this. We are humans only with 24 hours. We couldn't attend to all your requests.
I think that's probably an important message too, because I don't want to scare people off too. I think it's more about quality than quantity. And if people have the time, well, I don't want to set the bar so high that because we're like super encouragers, right? I think it's important that if they see stories that, because if we got a bigger amount of quality encouragers, they would only need to read the stories that resonate with you. It will become more honest, more authentic, more, it's going to resonate with that group of people that, you're having your own peeps then responding to things that it's that sub-tribe that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I remember I had a observation as an encourager. Um, this is the thing that actually I observe, or perhaps we should not do it. Like if you have a favorite person, like for example, Karen post a story, and then you're an encourager. Oh, Karen, post a story. I will encourage her. But when there's uh, other story that was posted and you don't know the person, so you don't feel like encouraging. So there should no favoritism. Whoever posts their story, whether it's new, whether it's old, whether she is famous, you should still encourage. You should still send your encouraging word to that story, to that person. It doesn't matter if the person, she is famous, or she is Whirlpool staff, or she is a man, or she is young. As an encourager, you should not choose to whom you're going to encourage. That is my observation. There should be no favoritism. or whether the post story is short or long, because someone is very long. I said, oh, this is long. Okay, so even if it's long or short, still, if you have this commitment, you still encourage, you still send your message, you still inspire the person that, oh, this is a very beautiful story. Thank you for expressing your thoughts. You inspired me, you encouraged me, like that.
I
Yeah,
think
speaking
especially
about
for new series, right? Like to welcome, make sure that you welcome
Yeah.
newcomers as soon as you see that, so they feel valued and encouraged to post again, and they feel supported and welcomed. Is that what you were going to say, Karen?
no. I just remember someone wrote his whole book as one post, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 21 chapters. I'm sorry, I have no time to read all of this in one sitting. Somebody, yeah, but he was so proud of his book, so he posted it. Right, Jill? You remember?
Yeah, I don't know, but I really remember when I saw there's a post. It's a long. I said, oh, it's already finished, but it's not yet. So I need to browse again. Oh, there's more. There's more. That's amazing. But at least she that person really had the courage to post her story, and it amazes me. Imagine posting the story of that long.
But I like the word courage. It takes courage to share your story.
That's
So
right. Especially
I think, yeah.
yes, especially that your story is very powerful. Like there's something in it. Like it's there's a hurt or there's a traumatic experience. It's really hard to post a story with a traumatic experience, sadness, or abuse. That is very hard to post a story like that, and it takes a courage. And you as a reader and you as an encourager, um, I mean, you also need to choose a right words to encourage, because you don't know if the words that you use is not encouraging to the person, or it might be offended the person. So it's not, you know, we I usually sometimes I Google the right words and what words I will tell to this person, because I might use other words that is offending to the person. So it, it's like you should choose the right words, right sentence, in order that these words should be comforting to the person whom you are encouraging.
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily about giving advice. I don't give advice unless I really, really feel called to give advice, and then I realize I'm taking a risk. But that doesn't happen very often because they know that it's coming from my heart and that I'm not being offensive. But if I feel like if you're on your soapbox, I think if you're questioning that, you probably don't want to do it.
Yeah, because it's very hard to yeah, giving opinions. We don't know what really happened to the person.
Exactly.
I don't even experience that. I just read it. I don't know what happened or the feelings. I just read it. So it's, you know, it's, as an encourager, we should be very careful also to give our of words of encouragement. So any more thoughts? What else are my observation? Let's see. Any experience while when you actually send your encouraging words and then the person reply? Do you have that experience? Then it's the person who replied is she actually replied the long reply, because what I experience is like this, like, okay, if you read the person's story and then you message the person, what, because you relate to the story, you compose and send an encouraging words, and then the person replied, and then she has a long reply. So uh, in that moment, there's already conversation. There's already a conversation between you and the person, and that starts friendship. Like you will connect each other, you will be friend on Facebook, and then send Facebook Messenger, and that builds friendship, and then you will connect. That happens to all of us, right? Like, okay, I'll send you a private message, let's talk privately, and then the person will ask, how are we going to do this, and then you give advice privately. So that builds friendship.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Long replies and long replies, and then more conversations, and it bloomed into friendships, and even projects. Like sometimes they would invite you to be involved with their project. So this is where I need to learn to set boundaries, because I don't have a lot of time. So I would say, oh, I'm see my son is crying. I have to mute.
Okay, so I think we really had a good conversation with Jill, and both of all of us here present with Angel, Karen, and Jill, we really had a good conversation. And not only that conversation, we learn a lot, like how can be how we can be motivated as an encourager. What are the tips to be more effective when you encourage, and also your commitment to be an encourager. So that is the one that we actually learned from Jill. Thank you so much, Jill. Um, I know that for those who are going to watch this, um, you will be multiplied, because they will know that what we are doing as an encourager will not only inspire them, but as well they will see the value and the difference what we are making with every woman on World Pulse. So any more thoughts, Jill, before we say goodbye?
Just so what Karen was mentioning, because that's really part of self-care, boundaries is pretty big too for encouragers, because you will be asked to do letters of recommendation, be parts of projects. You will be asked to be mentors, collaborators. So if you're open to that, have time for that, brilliant. But if you don't, you really need to be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this right now. I'll refer you to somebody else. So it is an important part too.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. We also need to actually have uh, set a boundary for ourselves, so that we will not be over fatigue or over stress. If it's not manageable or it's conflict to your schedule, learn to say no and yes. Right. Last word, Karen. How about Angel? Angel, any words? No? Okay. So, all right. So before I end this conversation with Jill, we would like to invite you to join World Pulse Philippines Facebook group if you like to connect with us, and if you like to share your story, join worldpulse.com. You can post your story there. We are there to read your stories, and we are there to encourage you. And also, if you are a mommy who has special kids, taking care of special kids, you can join World Pulse PH Support Group. And if you have questions about encouraging, you'd like to join to be an encourager on WorldPulse, send us a message and we'll be here to answer you and to guide you. All right, so thank you so much, Jill. We appreciate you. Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Angel, for joining this. And we hope that you learn, and we hope to see you again on our next webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.